Okay, just imagine this for a second. The main pipeline carrying blood from your heart to, well, everywhere else, suddenly starts tearing. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. It's not a burst, it's a split, a delamination of the artery wall itself. This is an aortic dissection, and it's one of the most terrifying emergencies in all of medicine. So let's really get into what's happening here.
So, take a look. This is the aorta, our body's biggest artery. And that dark channel you see, that's where a tear in the inner wall has allowed blood, under incredible pressure, to force its way between the layers, literally splitting them apart. Now, this is not a heart attack. That's a blocked coronary artery. No, this is a structural failure of the whole system's main pipeline, and it creates this incredibly dangerous second channel where blood just isn't supposed to be.
And here's the crucial part of that definition. This tear creates two channels, or what doctors call lumens. You've got the original true lumen, where blood is supposed to go, and then you have this brand new false lumen, which is basically a pocket of blood flowing inside the wall of the aorta itself. Now, this false lumen can swell up, it can block off blood flow to vital organs, or, worst case scenario, lead to a catastrophic rupture.
And believe it or not, this isn't some new disease. The very first time this even appears in medical literature is from the autopsy of King George II of Great Britain way back in 1760. For centuries, a diagnosis like this was pretty much a death sentence. And that long, deadly history is exactly why the modern medical advances we're about to get into are just so revolutionary.
So first up, let's decode the dissection. We need to understand how doctors think about this. You know, when a patient gets to the hospital and a dissection is suspected, the clock is ticking, loud. But before anyone can do anything, they have to classify the injury, because not all dissections are created equal, and getting this classification right, well, it's absolutely the key to survival. So with that clock ticking, what's the one piece of information that changes everything? The one question that determines the entire game plan? The answer is all about location, location, location. Doctors use what's called the Stanford classification, and it boils down to this. Does the tear involve the ascending aorta? That's the first part that curves up right off the heart. If the answer is yes, it's a type A. If no, it's a type B. It's that simple. But that one yes or no question about geography dictates every single thing that happens next.
But for type B cases, it's not quite that simple. The analysis goes a step deeper. Doctors have to figure out the acuity. Is it uncomplicated, meaning, the patient's stable and maybe they can just be managed with medication, or does it have high-risk features that are basically red flags for future trouble? Or is it complicated, where the dissection is already cutting off blood to organs or is about to rupture? This is what tells them whether to watch and wait or to intervene right now.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how that complication we just talked about, malperfusion, which is just a serious lack of blood supply, actually happens. On one hand, you've got dynamic obstruction, where the dissection flap literally acts like a valve, flapping over the opening to a branch artery and cutting off flow. Then there's static obstruction, which is where the tear itself rips right into that branch vessel. Both are incredibly dangerous, and both are starving vital organs of the blood they need to survive.
Okay, so let's get into the treatment playbook. Once the diagnosis and classification are locked in, the whole thing really comes down to one critical choice. Do we need the scalpel, or can we fix this from the inside with a stent?
And here's where that classification we talked about becomes a matter of life and death. For a type A dissection, there's no debate. The verdict is in, it is a surgical emergency that requires immediate open-heart surgery. But for a complicated type B, the whole philosophy has changed. The modern approach is endovascular first, which means a minimally invasive repair is now the go-to option.
And that minimally invasive procedure has a name, TEVAR. It stands for Thoracic Endovascular Aortic Repair. The key piece of tech here is the device, a stent graft. The best way to think about it is like a fabric-covered metal scaffold that can basically reline the aorta from the inside.
And the difference between the two approaches is just stark. Open surgery means cracking the chest open, physically cutting out the damaged section of the aorta and sewing in a replacement. TEVAR, on the other hand, usually starts with just a tiny incision down in the groin. From there, the stent graft is guided all the way up through an artery to the site of the tear, fixing the problem without that massive surgery.
So let's talk about repairing from the inside. How does this endovascular fix actually work? Let's walk through the steps of a TEVAR procedure. It's really a four-step dance. First, surgeons get access through an artery, usually in the leg. Second, they navigate the collapsed stent graft, which is on a long catheter, all the way up to the tear. Third, they deploy it. It expands, kind of like an umbrella, and it fits snugly against the aortic wall. And the result? Well, the tear is sealed off. Blood is redirected back into the proper channel, the true lumen, which takes all that dangerous pressure off the false one.
And here's what that looks like in theory. The delivery system, that catheter, is threaded right up through the aorta. The stent graft itself is positioned perfectly to cover the source of the entire problem, that initial tear in the inner wall.
And this is the goal, a fully expanded graft, creating a brand new, reinforced inner lining for the aorta. Now, blood just flows right through the stent, and that dangerous false lumen is completely sealed off. Hopefully, it can now shrink and clot over time. It's just such an elegant internal fix.
Now, TEVAR is an amazing technique, but what happens if just covering the main tear isn't enough? You see, sometimes smaller tears downstream can keep feeding that false lumen, keeping it pressurized and putting it at risk of expanding anyway. What do you do then?
Well, that exact challenge has led to the next wave of innovation. The goal isn't just to patch the tear anymore. Now, it's about actively forcing the dissected aorta to remodel itself and heal.
And that brings us to the STABILISE technique. This is wild. After deploying the main stent graft, surgeons advance a balloon and intentionally inflate it inside the aorta. The whole point is to physically break down the dissection flap and press it flat against the outer aortic wall, basically tacking the artery back together from the inside. And this isn't just a diagram. Look at this. These are real X-ray images from an actual procedure. You can clearly see that balloon inflating inside the stent, pushing the walls outward and actively reshaping the aorta right there on the table. It's this incredible, controlled disruption that's designed to promote real, long-term healing.
So finally, let's look to the future. We've seen the problem, how it's classified, and how the treatment has evolved from the scalpel to the stent to the balloon. But where is all this life-saving tech going from here?
Okay, so let's quickly recap the most important takeaways here. First, a dissection is an internal tear, not a burst. Second, location is everything. Type A versus Type B determines the whole game plan. Third, TEVAR has totally revolutionized treatment for many Type B cases. And finally, advanced techniques like STABILISE are pushing things even further, aiming not just to repair, but to actually remodel the aorta.
And that brings us to the last frontier. Remember how we said Type A dissections are an absolute open-heart surgery right now emergency? Well, get this. Clinical trials are actually underway, like the ARISE trial, testing specially designed stent grafts to treat even these most severe Type A cases. The technology is finally making a move into territory that, until now, belonged exclusively to the scalpel. Which leaves us with one last really fascinating question. For a condition that was a guaranteed death sentence for centuries, we've gone from massive open surgery to these elegant internal repairs. So as this technology keeps getting better and better, could we one day see a future where the scalpel is basically retired and a minimally invasive approach becomes the new standard for all aortic emergencies?